When morning came to the ice-cold waters of the Potomac River after a night of desperately searching for survivors, divers off the shore of the U.S. Capitol turned to the grisly task of looking only for answers and bodies.
Despite all those efforts, we are now at a point where we are switching from a rescue operation to a recovery operation. At this point, we don't believe there are any survivors from this accident.
The bright light in this video is American Airlines Flight 5342 with 60 passengers on final approach to Washington National Airport. The speck of light to the left, an approaching military helicopter on a training flight headed straight for the jet. Then this. Both plummeted into the river.
Medic 101, Medic 102, Medic 207, Ambulance 411.
It set off an intense rescue effort with remnants of the jet and helicopter in waist-deep water. The plane upside down, broken into 3 large pieces. First responders trying but failing to find anyone alive.
Extrication equipment will not be needed until daybreak at this location. It's too dangerous.
This video shows how the airport typically presents in darkness. Early indicators suggest the 2 aircraft were in standard flight patterns. Air traffic controllers were aware of both. The helicopter was told of the passenger jet. Say some, even if there was an alarm in the cockpit.
We had 2 aircraft approaching each other probably at a very high rate of speed in the last few seconds of flight. And you know, you've got a lot going on in the cockpit. And thing is if an alarm goes off, they might have had mere seconds to adjust, and they might not have known what they were adjusting to.
Authorities stress they are in absolute early stages of their investigation.
Our mission is to understand not just what happened, but why it happened, and to recommend changes to prevent it from happening again.
I'd like to request a moment of silence for the victims and their families, please.
At the White House, U.S. President Donald Trump said the country is in mourning, but then quickly turned to politics, seeming to pin early blame for the crash on the Biden and Obama administrations, and the suggestion they put diversity ahead of merit at the U.S. Federal Aviation Authority.
I do want to point out that various articles that appeared prior to my entering office, and here's one. The FAA's diversity push includes focus on hiring people with severe intellectual and psychiatric disabilities. That is amazing. This was in January 14th, so that was a week before I entered office. They put a big push to put diversity into the FAA's program.
Pushback on that, Adrienne, was swift. Senior Democratic Senator Chuck Schumer said it made his stomach turn. The group representing lawmakers on Capitol Hill from the Asia-Pacific region called Trump's comments despicable, racist lies.
And yet, Paul, Donald Trump, as I understand it, then seemed to just double down.
He did. Not long after those comments in the briefing room, he signed a presidential memorandum on aviation safety, in which it's underlined future hires at the FAA will be based on merit, not diversity, and again suggesting Barack Obama and Joe Biden did the opposite. This is a key aspect of Trump's framing of his agenda, and clearly choosing this moment immediately after the crash to emphasize it. But Trump did not provide any evidence diversity at the FAA played any role in the crash. One other note, Adrienne, as you mentioned off the top, word indeed tonight, the 2 so-called black boxes, the voice and flight data recorders have been recovered from the airplane. That should bring some answers on the collision soon.
Indeed. All right. Paul Hunter in our bureau in Washington. Thank you, Paul. So it will take time, obviously, to get the answers everyone so desperately needs. But for those who knew the victims, the shock wave of grief hits fast and it is brutal. As Katie Simpson shows us, that includes many in the figure skating community.
Spencer Lane loved skating, and like so many 16-year-olds, social media. He built a following on TikTok his dad says he was so proud of.
He really loved that community, and it was at a point where we would go. We were in Halifax, Nova Scotia. We went to a skating rink, and everyone was like, Spencer Lane's here. Oh my God, Spencer Lane's here.
Spencer was flying with his mom, heading home from a training camp, among the 14 people connected to the elite skating world on that American Airlines flight.
These kids and their parents, they're here at our facility in Norwood 6, sometimes 7 days a week. It's a close, tight bond, And I think for all of us, we have lost family.
13-year-old Gina Ha and her mom were on board too, alongside well-respected coaches, married pair skaters Vadim Nomov and Zhenya Shishkova, who won gold at the 1994 Worlds. 6 of the dead connected to the Boston Skating Club, where Olympian Nancy Kerrigan also trained.
Not sure how to process it. Oh, shoot, I'm sorry.
No, you're good.
Which is why I'm here.
Ina Volyanska dedicated her life to coaching. And it's the impact on kids her ex-husband worries about most.
It's tough, like they're gone. That's what kills me, it's these kids. Because I work with kids all day long. It's just one of those things where you don't want to see anyone go through this.
Flight attendant Ian Epstein was a 53-year-old father of 4. First Officer Sam Lilly had recently gotten engaged.
Just very motivating as a person and as a teammate. No matter the conversation, no matter the topic, he was just a very kind soul.
Wichita, Kansas, where the flight originated, is believed to be home to many of the victims yet to be named.
All of us are going to know people who know people. So it's a great time to double down on caring for each other.
And in this moment of grief, everyone seems to just be trying to hold it together.
This is a terrible tragedy that will unite those in Washington, D.C. and Wichita, Kansas forever.
Adrienne, some families are making their way here to Washington, D.C. They have to go through the identification process, and investigators are going to brief them in private so they can learn about their loved ones' final moments privately.
Katie, as we stand here, I'm well aware that part of the Black Hawk helicopter's in the water over there. The plane is a little further up the river, and yet nothing landed on the airport, on the highway, on the commuter train there, and as horrific as it was, you're constantly aware here of how much worse it could have been. You've been here all day. What's been lingering for you?
The airport is getting back to business, but what really stands out to me is how eerie it feels to know that just a day ago, people came here, were ready to pick up their loved ones. They were so close, but never made it home. As far as anything I've seen from people or heard from people, there are no signs that they're concerned about air travel safety, and they're going about their day.
Okay. Katie Simpson, thank you.
Thanks.
The impact of this tragedy is being felt deeply, of course, in Wichita. It is home to about 400,000 people. So the mayor of Wichita, Lily Wu, is with us now. So Mayor Wu, thank you for joining us, making time for us. I'm so sorry we have to have this conversation. I think about Wichita. You just had these phenomenal skating championships. Your city was on a high. And I'm wondering, what is the measure of this loss for your city?
Well, the city of Wichita, the air capital of the world, was honored to host the U.S. Figure Skating Championships just last week. Our community was grateful to host these fantastic athletes, their families, fans, and our community took them in as family too. So I know that many in the skating community are truly at a loss for words. And what I ask of everyone right now is to please send out those prayers to the families of those affected, to the families who are part of the first responding team right now in Washington, D.C., and send those prayers to our entire Wichita and Kansas community. We need to come together for those family members as they need that comfort, and they need those community members to come together.
Is there something, Mayor, that you've learned today about the people on that plane that you just cannot shake?
I personally know one of the individuals, and so it is weighing on me heavily, along with several of the council members who also know this individual. They are someone's daughter, son, sibling, family member, community member, and so the impact of these individuals will be felt not just in Wichita and Kansas, but America and throughout the world. And so I really ask all of us to think about those families and think about our own families, because I think what it reminded me today is how fragile life is. And if we can put that into perspective.
What happens for you next in Wichita, Mayor?
Well, first and foremost, I'm so grateful that our community came together this afternoon for a community-wide prayer. I know that there are several others that will be happening throughout this entire week. I ask that our community really unite around the message of using our words for comfort, using our actions for helping and uplifting others, and really caring about the individuals together. I do believe that that is the sentiment of every Wichitan here that has been impacted, and all those throughout the nation who also have been impacted by this tragedy.
Mayor Wu, thank you for this. Be well.